In the hushed corridors of ancient temples, where flickering candles cast shadows that dance like forgotten spirits, whispers of a profound duality echo through the ages. These whispers, carried on the wind of time, speak of a journey, a spiritual odyssey that teeters on the precipice between the divine delusion and grounded realism. It is a journey not for the faint-hearted, for it demands the courage to embrace the paradoxes of existence and the audacity to walk the razor's edge between two seemingly opposing forces. To begin this tale, we must first delve into the labyrinth of the human mind, where consciousness flickers like a lantern in a storm. In this labyrinth, two voices constantly vie for dominance. One, the voice of the divine delusion, beckons us toward the ethereal, urging us to transcend the mundane and touch the face of the divine. It whispers promises of enlightenment, of becoming one with the cosmos, of shedding the shackles of earthly existence to soar on the wings of spirit. This voice is seductive, alluring, and often cloaked in the guise of ancient wisdom and mystic truths. It speaks in the tongues of prophets and sages, offering a vision of reality that transcends the ordinary and ventures into the extraordinary. The other voice, however, is the stern and steady tone of grounded realism. It pulls us back to earth, insisting that our feet remain firmly planted on solid ground. It reminds us of the physical laws that govern our existence, of the limitations of the human body, and of the importance of living in accordance with the tangible world. This voice is practical, rational, and deeply rooted in the empirical. It often wears the mask of science, logic, and reason, challenging us to question the very foundations of the beliefs that the divine delusion offers. But here lies the hidden truth, a truth that has been obscured by the mists of time and the veil of dogma. These voices, though seemingly at odds, are not enemies. They are not opposites, but rather two sides of the same coin, two paths that lead to the same destination. To navigate the spiritual journey successfully, one must learn to embrace both, to find the balance that allows the soul to soar while remaining grounded in reality. In the annals of history, there are countless tales of those who have been seduced by the divine delusion. The allure of escaping the confines of the material world and merging with the divine has drawn many seekers to the brink of madness. Consider the tale of the Gnostic mystics, who believed that the material world was a prison, a false reality created by a lesser god. They sought to transcend this world, to return to the pleroma, the fullness of the divine, through secret knowledge and spiritual practices. Their journey was one of intense inner exploration, of peeling back the layers of reality to reveal the hidden truth beneath. But the danger of the divine delusion lies in its capacity to disconnect us from the very world we seek to understand. In the pursuit of the divine, many have lost themselves, retreating into realms of fantasy and illusion, where the line between reality and delusion becomes blurred. The story of the Cathars, a medieval Christian sect, serves as a cautionary tale. Believing that the material world was evil and that the spirit was trapped within the physical body, they sought to purify themselves to the point of rejecting the very essence of life. Their beliefs led them down a path of self-destruction, as they refused to engage with the world around them, ultimately leading to their extinction. The divine delusion offers a tantalizing escape from the harsh realities of life, but it is a path fraught with peril. To become lost in its embrace is to risk losing one's sense of self, of purpose, of connection to the world and to others. It is to risk becoming unmoored, adrift in a sea of illusion, with no anchor to hold fast to. Grounded realism, in contrast, offers a stabilizing force, an anchor in the turbulent seas of existence. It is the voice that reminds us of our mortality, of the physical laws that govern our lives, and of the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. It is the voice of science, of reason, of empirical knowledge that has been accumulated over centuries of human experience. This voice, too, has its champions throughout history. The ancient Stoics, for example, preached a philosophy of living in accordance with nature, of accepting the world as it is, and of finding peace within the limits of human existence. They taught that true wisdom lies in recognizing what we can control and what we cannot, and in cultivating a sense of inner tranquility that is not dependent on external circumstances. But grounded realism, if taken to an extreme, can also become a trap. It can lead to a life that is devoid of wonder, of mystery, of the very things that make the human experience rich and meaningful. The cold logic of realism can strip the world of its magic, reducing existence to a series of cause and effect relationships, of mechanical processes devoid of spirit or soul. To navigate the spiritual journey successfully, one must learn to transcend this duality, to integrate the divine delusion with grounded realism in a harmonious balance. This is the essence of the alchemical marriage, the sacred union of opposites that leads to the creation of the philosopher's stone, the symbol of ultimate wisdom and enlightenment. In the ancient practice of alchemy, the goal was not merely to transform base metals into gold, but to achieve a deeper, spiritual transformation. The alchemists sought to reconcile the material and the spiritual, the earthly and the divine, through a process of purification and transmutation. This process mirrors the spiritual journey, where the seeker must undergo a series of trials and challenges, shedding the dross of illusion and delusion to reveal the pure essence of the self. One of the most profound examples of this integration can be found in the teachings of the Hermetic tradition, which emerged in the early centuries of the Common Era. The Hermetic texts speak of the principle of correspondence, encapsulated in the famous maxim, "As above, so below. As below, so above." This principle suggests that the material and the spiritual are reflections of one another, that the microcosm and the macrocosm are interconnected. To understand one is to understand the other. In this light, the divine delusion and grounded realism are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of a greater whole. The spiritual journey, then, becomes a dance between these two voices, a dance that requires both the lightness of the ethereal and the weight of the tangible. It is through this dance that one can achieve a state of spiritual equilibrium, where the soul is free to explore the heights of divine consciousness while remaining rooted in the reality of the physical world. In the modern world, where the noise of technology and the demands of daily life can easily drown out the whispers of the soul, the challenge of navigating this duality is more pressing than ever. The seeker who aspires to a deeper understanding of themselves and the universe must cultivate the discernment to hear both voices and the wisdom to integrate them. This journey requires a new kind of alchemy, one that blends ancient wisdom with contemporary insight. It calls for an embrace of the mystical and the empirical, the visionary and the pragmatic. The modern alchemist is one who can see the divine in the mundane, who can find spiritual significance in the material world, and who can transcend the limitations of both by recognizing their interconnectedness. The path forward is not a straight line but a winding road, one that requires both intuition and intellect, faith and reason. The journey is not about choosing one voice over the other, but about finding the harmony that exists between them. It is about embracing the divine delusion not as an escape from reality, but as a means of deepening one's connection to the greater whole, and about grounding oneself in realism not as a denial of the divine, but as a way of bringing the sacred into everyday life. As you continue on your spiritual journey, remember that the voices you hear are not there to lead you astray, but to guide you toward a deeper truth, a truth that lies in the integration of opposites, in the balance of the ethereal and the material. This is the hidden knowledge that has been passed down through the ages, from the ancient alchemists to the modern seekers. It is the key to unlocking the mysteries of the soul, to achieving a state of spiritual enlightenment that is both grounded in reality and open to the infinite possibilities of the divine.